Tazria Mitzora. About skin afflictions, about our bodies, childbirth, about the states that we enter into. Changed spiritual states. We have just been building the Mishkan, right? We've been engaged in this big group project for many weeks of Torah, 8 weeks of Torah, until we arrived at Shmini last week, which was the 8th day, when the tabernacle, the Mishkan, inside our wanderings in the Midbar, in the desert, was completed. It's completed. Now we can use it for our sacred rites and rituals. But now we got to think about the state that we're in, the ritual state that we're in, to engage in this. And here the Torah portion becomes very concerned about the ritual state, tameh or tahor. Tameh or tahor. I hesitate to translate them into the words that they're assigned in English, because like a lot of things in poetics and in meaning, from Hebrew to English, especially what's been traditionally chosen, misses a lot of the meaning. Tameh and tahor as ritual states. The scholar Jonathan Klawanis summarized what a lot of scholars have found when they've looked at these ideas of tameh and tahor as ritual states. And they found something really, really helpful for us to see, that in all cases where somebody is tameh, childbirth, menstruation, seminal emissions, illness, contact with a corpse, all of these situations are when someone has come into contact, into an interaction with the life force and the possibility of death. Life and death interactions, the possibility of life force and death. And that puts you into a changed state, into a state of being tameh. These are moments in our lives when we are in a more intimate moment, connection to life and death. Maybe it's momentary, or maybe it's a period of time. And because of this, there's a conscious, intentional relating to these states, this changed state. This is not about sin when tameh and tahor is used in this way. And to tell you, it often gets called pure and impure, so you can see why I'm not liking those English words. This is not moral impurity. This is not about doing an act that is egregious or criminal, because those things can't be solved by a short period of separation or by a community ritual. We need to be careful that we don't conflate ritual purity and moral purity. Being tameh affects the priests, the Kohanim. It affects the Israelites. It affects all of us when we are in encounter with life force. And the time when we're in this state is temporary. And after it passes, we do a ritual for re-entry into the community. We move into these liminal states of being tameh. There are threshold moments, and they affect our spiritual state. And so the Parsha then gets very detailed about one area of this, which is skin afflictions. So if you had a skin affliction, you would be checked out by the priest. The priest would examine the affliction, the color, the spread, the rash, and try to determine if it was going to spread to other people. so that you would need to go separate from the community and go chutz lamachane, outside of the camp. When it was determined that a person needed to go outside of the camp, the person who had just been examined, they would shout it out to everybody. Tameh, Tameh. Hi, see me. I'm going through something right now. I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm letting you know that I'm here. I was thinking about how few opportunities we get to have in our prevailing culture to be like in a communal setting. Hey, this is what's going on for me. Okay, everybody? I'm grateful that the Jewish tradition continues to give us ways to do that. I mean, we aren't right now standing up shouting Tameh, Tameh, but if that's a practice we want to take on at Nefesh, I'm open to talking about that. But we do have moments, the calling out of the names of those who are in need of healing. A Shiva Minyan, when people gather in the homes of mourners, or right here when mourners will gather and we will surround and witness and support them. These moments of being seen by the community. This is the state that I'm in. It's a different state. This is a vital function of community, to see and acknowledge each other. And then after this person with the skin affliction shouts out Tameh, Tameh, then they leave and they go outside of the camp, chutz lamachane, outside of the camp. It's a physical place. It's a metaphorical place. It's a place on the outside. Susan Sontag, in Illness as Metaphor, talks about illness as a physical location. She writes, everyone who's born holds dual citizenship in the kingdom of the well and the kingdom of the sick. Although we all prefer to use the good passport, sooner or later, each of us is obliged, at least for a spell, to identify ourselves as citizens of that other place. Chutz lamachane, that other place outside the camp. I remember when I heard this talked about first and it was described as, well, that's not very fair. And then I thought, oh, I want to go there. Especially on my own journey when I had to use that other passport. I want to go there. I want to go to the outside of the camp. And I want to be with the other people gathered around those fires, sitting on the big rocks, talking about the state that we're in. The possibilities of the state, what it looks like to be healed, what it looks like to be transformed, how we could do that for each other, how we could see each other. There's being seen by a community, a diverse community, and then there's being seen by the people who are walking the same path with you. Not exactly the same, but they're walking it with you. We do have some spaces for that, right? Sobriety communities, where people see each other who are walking through the same path. New parent groups, cancer support groups. I see you, I'm walking this path with you. What are the possibilities when we're seen by others who are outside the camp with us? What could that create in our connection to each other? It's powerful to be with a group of people who understand the path, even though it is different for each of us, who have a kind of deep understanding that you can't fully explain. What's the possibilities outside the camp? What can happen out there? On Wednesday night, Myself and a few other Nefesh folks were at the Liberty Hill dinner, celebrating with many other Angelinos some real powerful change making that's happened in our city. And one of the things that happened was something that came from outside the camp. There's the coalition called the Stand LA Coalition, and then there was a young organizer who had been dealing with asthma from living so close to oil drilling. It's like literally in her neighborhood, on her street. She had been dealing with asthma for so many years as a little kid, and then at 19 years old, she got cancer. And she started finding out that a lot of her neighbors, this was similar for them. In the 1890s, and I did not know this, and I knew a lot about LA, we discovered some of the most productive oil fields in history. And by 1930, we were producing nearly 1/4 of the world's oil output. What? And we are still drilling in so many places. There are 7,000 active and idle wells in Los Angeles County that endanger the health and safety of over 3.8 million people, mostly Black and Latino residents that live near these oil wells. Thousands of oil wells in LA. And as the supply got harder to find, they started using more extreme and dangerous methods to extract the oil, with no accountability to say what they were doing to get the oil out. There was no monitoring of what was happening. But there were the bodies of those getting sick in neighborhoods like Wilmington. And so organizing started happening. We've got to stop this oil drilling. We've got to try to take care of our health. Amongst people who were sick and caretakers, healthy people and people outside the camp dealing with illness, while they were dealing with illness, they started organizing and put together a coalition of many different groups who turned out had all been doing it in their neighborhoods. So Stand LA is that coalition of many groups. And people who were supporting them said, this great organizing, but we're a little worried about what your guys' goal is, because the goal to say that there should be no oil drilling in Los Angeles is just a little too far out. I don't know if you know about big oil, but they don't really cooperate. And they've got a lot of money. So how about we start with another goal? And the coalition was clear. It had to be no more oil drilling in Los Angeles. And in December, after 10 years of organizing, there is no more oil drilling in Los Angeles. I know, right? You don't always hear hopeful things. I'm sharing this with you guys, not for a little bit of hope, okay? We need it. In December, the LA City Council voted to approve an ordinance that would prohibit new oil and gas extraction activities and phase out all existing oil drilling completely. Now, of course, this is not going to be the end of the story. There'll be other things. They're going to try, but this is the largest municipality to ever do this, which is incredible. To find others who are sick, to talk about how can we heal, and then to take action together for the healing of themselves and for so many others. That's powerful organizing outside the camp. So the last piece of this parsha is that there's a ritual for re-entry. There's a ritual with 2 birds. The first bird's an offering. The second bird, the live bird, along with cedar wood and crimson wool and hyssop, are dipped into the blood of the first bird. And then The priest, just bear with me, and the Kohen sprinkles it over the head of the person who's been outside the camp, and the bird is released. The person immerses, cuts their hair, and re-enters the community into a reminder of where they have been, released into the wild. We will not do rituals that harm animals. Just want to be clear so that I can still go home tonight and my daughter won't tear me down. We will not, I'm not advocating, not okay to do rituals that harm animals. And I really want to encourage you to do rituals, my friends, when you come out of this period of transition, of new beginnings, of endings, of changed states. They can be brief. I'll give you a little recipe right here. A blessing, and then something with fire or water or earth, like spices that we use on Havdalah. An intentional, on-purpose moment to say, this is changing right here, right now. Somebody in our community before IVF treatments was jumping into the ocean, lighting candles, burning rosemary, and saying the Shehechianu. We can do these rituals to mark these changed states. To say, I went through something, and I'm re-entering the community in a new place. So may all of us call out to our community from our changed states. May you connect with those who are outside the camp with you. And may you mark these times with ritual, arriving and then arriving and arriving and arriving again into this moment, right here, right now. Shabbat Shalom.